This is the Sports Hit List by the fans for the fans.
What are your thoughts here on Jimmy Butler as far as getting suspended 7 games, A, and where does he end up? Because he's clearly not staying in Miami.
Yeah. Um, my thoughts. To be honest, I'm not gonna say I seen it coming, but you know what the rhythm is when you don't get that contract extension, right? For all the work that Jimmy has put in with the Miami Heat, for Pat Riley to sit there and say, "Hey, man, I don't know," for all the storylines that everybody's coming up with, because we're not in the front office, we don't really know what's happening, but he's too old. He's an aging vet. He doesn't deserve a max contract. It's on one hand, it's like, damn, you know what I mean? Because he put in that work. That there's always that image of him in my mind when they were in the finals, and he's just pumped over the barricade, just tired because he was carrying the Miami Heat during that finals. You know what I'm saying? And Jimmy is that dude when it comes to playoff time. Now, here's where the other foot comes down. He has made it perfectly clear that he doesn't care about regular season. And we all know who is the man that's running that show. That's Pat Riley. I don't know if Pat Riley's, too happy about hearing stuff like that. And then on top of that, I don't know if he's down for all the antics that Jimmy Butler has been doing for the past couple of seasons. I'm just not sure. I feel, for Jimmy, but then I understand where the Miami Heat organization is coming from because we have seen this with Shaq. They sent Shaq out of there. They got D Wade up out of there. Like Miami has no problem. Pat Riley has no problem letting go of stars. Alonzo Mourning, what have you. Like he has no problem letting go of these individuals. I think Alonzo Mourning more is a health issue though, so I scratch that one. But where does he end up? I don't know. At first, he was saying that we don't mind going anywhere, but then now there's these reports coming out saying that he doesn't want to play for Milwaukee and he doesn't want to play for Memphis. So for me, in my head, I feel the best place for him is to go back home, and not necessarily Houston, but to Texas, Dallas Mavericks. I think he'd be a nice little fit in there, Dallas Mavericks. Get them that defensive perimeter presence. He's not probably where he was a couple of seasons ago, but he can still, lock up when need to. And he's going to be another man that's going to get some buckets besides Kyrie Irving and Luka whenever Luka gets back. I think he would be a solid addition. I wouldn't say Houston because Houston is already on an upward trajectory and they have the necessary veteran presence there in Fred VanVleet. And he got championship pedigree on top of that. And I think if you add a 35-year-old to that particular group, it might throw the balance off a little bit. We see what's happening with Minnesota right now. So I think I'm going to go with Dallas Mavericks. I think he'd be a solid fit over there.
Mike, a few years ago, after the Heat lost to to the Denver, you kind of questioned Jimmy Butler as far as he can get you to the finals, but like that's his best. Now we're in a situation where it's like Pat Riley's like, all right, well, thanks for what you've done for me. Time to move on. What are your thoughts of what's going on there? And also the same question is where does he end up?
Man, it's a couple of angles to go about this particular situation. Is such a dice roll, and I know a lot of the conversation, fair or unfair, ends up referring back to Jimmy Butler's other previous stops. Philly notwithstanding, because he didn't mess that up in Philly, at least all the reports, but particularly Chicago and Minnesota, this is giving some of those vibes. I don't really want to go down that road because I just think those stints are so far past. I don't know if I want to join all of those together in one. But the main thing I was thinking about with this Jimmy Butler situation is you have the classic case of the player who wants money and a chance to win a championship. Because I don't think this is just about money. Because I think Jimmy Butler is one of those guys, to Zig's point, that wants to win championships, that prides himself on competing at the highest level. So that's, I think, part of also the issue here is not just the money, but also does he really want to compete? Because when you look at the list of teams he's naming, and as Zig was talking about, the reports are coming out that initially the reports on his list were all playoff teams. So he didn't pick any random teams. So I think that he wants to win. And so that's one angle. The player's frustrated about not getting their contract, the aging player. And then you have the organization Miami Heat specifically, but a lot of organizations saying, nah, bro, we not really trying to pay nobody 35. Then you got all the comments in the summer of Jimmy saying if we was healthy, we would have won, and Pat Riley saying shut up and all this other stuff. So you got the organization saying, whoa, whoa, Papa, slow down. Slow down. This is our organization. You don't run anything. If we was willing to let LeBron leave, we got no problem letting you leave. You ain't LeBron. So now you got this clash. It gets ugly in the media. Jimmy goes after the press conference. By the way, this is what happens, people, when you get spanked by the Pacers. It may end up where your franchise player may leave. It just what happens sometimes.
You were doing
Sometimes
good,
when you
Mike.
play the
You were
Indiana
doing good,
Pacers
Mike.
and you get spanked up, you start getting mad at your organization. You don't get mad internally because you got spanked. You get mad at your organization. But that's a side note. We get to that another day. So I think that this whole situation is ugly, it's nasty work, but now 7-game suspension. The players union's probably gonna win their lawsuit, but he ain't gonna get that money till he's like 65. So he ain't gonna get that money no time soon. And so the 7-game suspension was really just to say, how can they make it work in terms of a deal? Now, I don't know that they're gonna make one quick, but in some ways, you think they have to, because what you going to do, bring him back after the 7-game suspension? He's not going to play because he quit during our game. So he's not going to play. So a destination like Zig, it's a toss-up. I think the Lakers definitely, after these bums just got spanked tonight, they're going to be making some phone calls. I think the Warriors have already been mentioned that they're interested. So I think the Warriors may get him because we know they're looking to get a veteran player. They're not just looking to get another young guy. And I think they could offer Miami, here, take Jonathan Kuminga and see if you could turn him into a superstar. But so that's where I think he'll end up.
I actually had the conversation with Anthony about that last week on Friday, and I was like, with Jim, when I thought Jimmy would have been perfect with LA, right? You put him over there with Anthony Davis and LeBron, but Anthony was reluctant to it. He was just like, no, Lakers Nation don't want him. And
Magic?
he said Laker Nation don't want Jimmy. I guess his style of play and maybe the age thing, but he didn't want him. So
Laker Nation have nothing to give Miami. So.
That's the point that I was going to say. They have
Well,
so
there
you
go.
can't get gold
There you
or
go.
silver when you have poop. So
Well,
they
Andres,
have-
I know we've had these internal discussions about, the value of Pat Riley to your franchise, and I know how you feel about it. So I'm going to give you the floor. You let me know when you're done. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. If I start blabbering, please stop me. I think Ziggy and Mike both made amazing points. Like, I share everything they said. However, I want to talk about Patrick James Riley, right? And we are not political. Listen, like, we like to talk about politics, right? So they said that President Biden can't run for office because he's 80 years old. Yet we want Pat Riley to run the Miami Heat organization at 80 years old. And that's not happening either. Let's talk about that. That's number one. Number two, Shaq got kicked out of town, like Ziggy alluded to. LeBron got kicked out of town, like Mike alluded to. And Dwayne effing Wade got kicked out of town, like both of these gentlemen alluded to. So it's like you're kicking out all your superstars because like this guy thinks he's Tony Soprano or something. He thinks like he's the mob boss. Like, why are you running all your stars out of town? Like, I'm being so serious. Florida will be underwater before we win another championship. We're not winning another championship for like 30 years because so many people are going to be like, why are we going to go to Miami when this is how they treat their stars? Now, Carl, you and I, we get into so many fights about Patrick James Riley, right? How many people has Patrick James Riley brought to Miami without Dwayne Wade holding his hand? And besides that, he didn't want to draft Dwayne Wade. You talk about Victor Oladipo got to Miami because of Dwayne Wade. Chris Bosh got to Miami because of Dwayne Wade. LeBron James got to Miami because of Dwayne Wade. Jimmy Butler. Dwayne Wade's last gift on March, whatever it was, 2019, was here's Jimmy Butler. Got to Miami because of Dwayne Wade. Terry Rozier got to Miami because of Dwayne Wade. All these players want to play for Miami because of what Dwayne Wade represents, not because of Pat Riley. Nobody's talking about Pat Riley. This is a players' league. Excuse me, I'm just getting started. Hold on. Another thing, the thing we talk about the most is pocket watching. Why are Heat fans like, well, I don't want to pay a 36-year-old $51 million. Who fucking cares? These guys are gazillionaires. They got like $90 billion worth. It's not your money. I don't care about the second apron, the first apron. Jimmy Butler literally went balls to the wall for this organization, carried us from being an A seed to the NBA Finals. The Nuggets whooped their ass, fine, whatever. They whooped their ass, that's fine. But literally carried us to the finals, beat the number 1 seed, beat the I'm not trying to be an asshole, Ziggy, I'm sorry. Beat the Knicks, beat the 2 seed. Like, what are we talking about here, bro? And the other thing is, why does every superstar use Miami for leverage, right? Kevin Durant, interested in Phoenix and Miami, went to Phoenix. Bradley Beal, interested in only Miami, didn't waive his no trade clause because Pat Riley said, "Oh no, I'm Tony Soprano." Damian Lillard, Pat Riley didn't want to do business with the Blazers. Like I knew this organization wasn't serious about winning when James fucking Harden became available, and they were like, you know what? Let's not trade Tyler Hero, dude. You're talking about James Harden, and back in 2021, James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo in the East, like. This organization is just not serious, and it hasn't been serious. And like, I don't understand. We're probably never gonna. I'm being so serious, son. I'm laughing because I'm in so much pain. We're not gonna win a ring for like another 20 years. And Carl, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I promise you, I'm not. We won a championship in 2013. You know how the Celtics milked 2008 for 16 years until they won last year? That's gonna be us. We're gonna be talking about Ray Allen's shot until I'm like 70 years old because either the state of Florida is gonna be underwater or Pat Riley's just never gonna retire. Like, I just don't understand. And people want to point out fingers. Oh, the roster, this and that. The roster is not good enough. The roster is good because Jimmy has made it good. Like, it's not because of the roster. The roster construction falls on who? The front office. Eric Spoelstra, he's a miracle worker. God bless him. Best coach in the NBA, top 10 coach of all time. But you need superstar talent to win in this league. We could go back to like the 80s. From the 80s to now, you need superstar talent to win. Last year, people talk about, oh, the Celtics were a super team. No. Jason Tatum made that team a super team. 2023, Jokic. 2022, Steph Curry. 2021, Giannis. You guys get the point at this point. We don't have to give a history lesson about the NBA. You need superstar talent to win. The fact that I've named so many superstars that use Miami as leverage and they're like, we don't want to go there. It's pathetic. It's sickening. You're telling me because of 1 year, $50 million that the Miami Heat is going to become a mediocre organization? We're literally becoming the Trailblazers of the Eastern Conference. A lot of my friends are Heat fans, and they're like, oh, well, the Heat have 3 championships. I don't care about what happened 13 years ago. The barometer is not to be better than the Wizards or the Blazers for a franchise that won 3 championships in 8 years and made it to like, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7 NBA finals in like a 15-year span. Enough is enough, man.
Thanks for watching the Sports Hit List. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In fact, do it now.